My name is Elena. I didn't grow up with money. Every morning, my brothers and I helped our father. We worked before school. We cut mangoes to earn a little money. That was our job. We worked hard, but we were just kids. At noon, we went home. Then we went to school. Every day, no rest, no break. We were tired, but we knew something. We knew school was important. At school, many kids had money. They bought snacks. They bought drinks. We didn't. We just watched. Sometimes we felt sad. Sometimes we felt angry. But we never stopped going to school. One day, my brother asked, "Why don't we stay home and just work?" I didn't know what to say, but then my father answered. He said, "Because I didn't have this chance, but you do, and I will give it to you, even if I have to work twice as hard." That moment changed something in me. I thought, maybe this life is not forever. Maybe one day things can be better. But can they? Can a poor girl with no money, no food, and no help really change her life? I didn't know. Not yet. All I knew was one thing. I had to try. But would it be enough? School finished. I finished high school. I was the first in my family. We were all happy, but then something hit me. I had no plan, no job, no money, no idea what to do next. I started looking for work. Every day I asked friends. I asked neighbors. I walked to offices. I waited. I hoped. But nothing. No calls. No answers. Just silence. Days passed. Then weeks. I began to worry. I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is my future. No work, no money. Just waiting. My father still worked, cutting mangoes. My brothers too. I wanted to help, but I couldn't. I felt useless. One night, I heard my parents talking. My mom said she tries so hard. Why does no one give her a chance? My father said, "Her time will come." I believe it. The next day I woke up and something was different. I got a message. A small company needed help. They wanted someone to assist the accountant. Just assist. Nothing big, but it was something. I said yes right away, but I was scared. I had no experience. I didn't know if I was good enough. What if I failed? What if they said you are not ready? But I went anyway because sometimes you don't wait to feel ready. You just go. But was that the right choice? The first day at work, I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I had never worked in an office before. Everything felt new. Everything felt big. I sat at a small desk. The accountant gave me papers and said, "Check the numbers, then organize them." That was it. That was my job. I didn't understand everything, but I tried. I made mistakes, many mistakes, but I learned. Every day, I learned something new. After a few weeks, the accountant said, "You're doing well." I smiled. It was a small job, but it felt big to me. Months passed. I started doing more things. I helped with reports. I helped with payments. I answered phones. I talked to clients. I was no longer just assisting. I was growing quietly, slowly, but something inside me was changing. I started to believe. Then something happened. The accountant left the company. I thought they would bring someone new, but they didn't. The manager called me. He said, "Can you take the position? You know how everything works now." I couldn't believe it. Me in charge? I said yes. I was afraid, but I said yes. And that's how I became the treasurer of the company. I was still young, but I worked with numbers. I worked with responsibility. I earned respect. I earned trust. My parents were proud. I started to send them money every month. It was not a lot, but it helped. They didn't ask for anything, but I wanted to give. They gave me everything. Now it was my turn. For years past, I liked my job, but I felt ready for more. I applied to a bigger company, a national company. They made dairy products. It was well known. I didn't think I would get the job, but I got an interview, then a second one. Then they said, "Welcome to the team. You will be an internal auditor." That was a big step, a big change. The office was bigger, the work was harder, but I was ready. I learned new systems. I met new people. I traveled to other cities. I reviewed reports. I found errors. I gave recommendations. I worked more hours, but I was not tired. I was growing again. One day, a coworker asked me, "How did you start?" I said, "Cutting mangoes." She laughed. She thought I was joking, but I wasn't. That was my real beginning. And then something unexpected happened. I met someone, a person from the United States. We started talking. Then we started planning something big. But could this new path change everything? I met someone special. He was kind. He was respectful. He listened. He lived in the United States. At first, we only talked. Nothing serious. But the more we talked, the more we dreamed. He asked, "Do you want to start a life together?" I said yes. We got married. My life changed fast. I left my job. I left my country. I left everything I knew. It was hard, but I was ready to start again. I was not afraid of starting from zero. I had done it before. When I arrived in the United States, everything was different. The language, the people, the culture. I didn't understand much English. I couldn't speak well. Sometimes I felt lost. Sometimes I felt small. I wanted to cry. But then I remembered my father's words. Never stop learning. I started learning English little by little. I watched videos. I listened to people. I repeated words. I made mistakes. But I kept going. I told myself, "You learned accounting. You learned how to work. Now you will learn English too." Months passed. Then something happened. My sister called me. She also lived in the United States. She said, "I'm doing something important. I'm helping Mom and Dad come here." I couldn't believe it. My parents in the US. Was it possible? She was filling the forms, doing the process. It took time. But one day, she said, "It's done. They're coming." I waited. I counted the days. I imagined them here. My parents, the same people who worked cutting mangoes, the same people who gave us everything. They were coming to a place where they didn't have to suffer anymore. And then the day arrived. I saw them again, but now in a new world. They didn't need anything. They were safe. They were comfortable. They were finally resting after so many years. But I asked myself, was this real? Was this really my life now? And then something else happened, something I didn't expect. My parents looked at me and said, "We are proud of you. You made it." Those words hit me. I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel powerful. I just felt thankful. But the story wasn't over yet, because something was about to happen that would change my purpose forever. I thought my story was done. I thought I had reached my goal. My parents were safe. My family was happy. I was living in the US. Life was good. But then something strange happened. One day I woke up with a question in my mind. Is this really all I want? I had money to live. I had peace, but something inside me was missing. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't explain it. Days passed. I tried to forget the question, but it came back every time. Then I heard someone speaking Spanish in the store. She was helping her child learn English. The child didn't understand. She looked confused. She looked scared. The mother said, "Say thank you." The girl said, "Thank you." The mother smiled. In that moment, I remembered myself years ago, trying to speak, trying to understand, feeling small, feeling alone. That night I couldn't sleep. I thought maybe I didn't come here only to live better. Maybe I came here to help others too. I started sharing my story with people at church, at work, online. I told them about the mangoes, about school, about my father, about learning. And something amazing happened. People listened. People cried. People said thank you, I needed this. I didn't expect that. I wasn't famous. I wasn't rich. But people cared because my story was real. Then one girl said, "I want to learn English. Can you help me?" I said yes. I didn't know how, but I said yes. I started teaching her simple words, then short phrases, then sentences. She said, "You make it easy. I feel brave when I learn with you." That was the moment, the twist, the change. I understood. My life was not only about what I got, it was about what I could give. I started teaching more people, immigrants, workers, mothers, fathers, people like me, people who came to the U.S. with dreams, but no words. And every time I taught, I felt something. I felt alive. So now I ask myself a new question. What if my story is not just a story? What if it's a tool? Because maybe my past is not something to forget. Maybe it's the key to help others open their future. And just when I thought everything was complete, another surprise was waiting. I sit down. I look back. So many things have happened. Sometimes I still ask, is this really my life? I remember the mangoes. I remember the heat. I remember the feeling of having no money, no food at school, no help, only dreams. And now I teach. I help others learn English. I help people who feel lost, just like I once felt. I share my story and they listen, not because I am special, but because they see themselves in my story. Many people ask me, how did you do it? I don't say magic. I don't say luck. I say this. I didn't give up. I didn't stop learning. And I never forgot where I came from. My father used to say, the world is hard, but your mind is strong. I didn't understand it when I was a child, but now I do. We were poor, but we had courage. We didn't have much, but we had love. We worked. We studied. We believed. Today, my parents live in peace. They don't need anything. We take care of them. My siblings are doing well. We are not rich, but we are free. And that is everything. But there's something more. Helping others has become my new dream, a bigger dream. I don't just want to live a good life. I want to help others build their own. Every student I teach is a reminder of who I was, a reminder of who I still am. Sometimes they say I'm too old to learn. I say I started over in a new country with no English. If I did it, so can you. Sometimes they say I don't have time. I say make small time, one word a day, one step at a time. And sometimes they say I feel alone. I say you're not. I am here. We are many, and we don't give up. Now I know the truth. The real dream is not just to escape poverty. The real dream is to rise and then reach back to lift others too. So, I will keep teaching. I will keep sharing. I will keep telling my story. Because maybe, just maybe, my voice is not only mine. It is the voice of every child who once had nothing and chose to believe in something. Sometimes I think about my past and I ask myself, what if I gave up? What if I stopped trying? Maybe I would still be there, cutting mangoes with no future. But I didn't stop. I didn't run. I didn't complain. I believed. I worked. I waited. And now here I am. Not because I was the best, not because I was lucky, but because I made a choice. And now I want to say something to you. You can change your life. Even if you are poor, even if you are scared, even if no one believes in you. You can start small. You can grow. You can become more. But you must do one thing. Never stop. Because the dream is not just for the rich. The dream is for the brave. And maybe you are braver than you think.